Hi again, everyone. Me and my friend over here would like to welcome you back to our Saturday night public programs up here at UACNJ in beautiful Jenny Jump State Forest. We have an amazing program planned for you guys tonight. As you know, every first Saturday of the month, us live up here at UACNJ. What's going on in the sky for that month? Tonight, Lonny's talk is going to let you guys all know about everything that's going on in that August sky tonight. I know it doesn't look too pretty right now. Forecast is calling for clouds this evening. However, we are still up here doing our public program this evening. In case you don't know by now, all of our public programs are now streaming live. Our programs are also featured on Facebook as well. We also like to share that link on Instagram. And guys, if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow us there as well. We love our followers. So if you guys have been keeping an eye on UACNJ, whether or not you come up here in person, or whether or not you follow us online, you know that this face covering is mandatory while you are up here on property at UACNJ. If you want to wear it, we encourage it. If you're fully vaccinated and you feel you don't want to wear it, we also support you in that decision as well. One thing we do ask, though, is while you are up here on property, that if you do see somebody wearing a face covering, please, no mask shaming. I still wear my mask while I'm up here at UACNJ. Those of you who haven't been up here in a while, I hope you remember our beautiful Greenwood telescope. Hopefully the sky's clear for tonight and we can use it, but if not, you'll just have to make that reservation and come back up here. All right, so in the meantime, let's come down here and check things out. And if you've been following us online, I hope you guys all know Kim. Kim is a huge part of UACNJ and has been a member up here who's really stepped up to help us handle our online programs. Makes my life easier. She's very good at what she does. So if you guys come up here and you see Kim, make sure you say hello. We're trying something new tonight, so I am just slightly limited in how far I can go with this. But we just want to remind all you guys, we are still up here. Our 8 o'clock presentation. Gotta love a free public program. And it looks like our good friend Ken Taylor is sitting down on the bench. Let me mask up here. And I'm going to interrupt Ken and put him on the spot while we are live here on YouTube and Facebook.
Hi, everybody.
Isn't
How
he a
are you?
good-looking guy?
No.
Very good-looking guy.
Hopefully, you'll have an opportunity to come up and visit us at UACNJ. And I appreciate you actually listening to myself and Matt and learning more about us. I hope you see.
And then also, guys, in addition to Ken,
So
I have a couple of my from the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge visiting up here at beautiful Jenny Jump State Park. Hopefully they'll get a good talk when Lonny shows up. We'll get that program rolling around 8 o'clock tonight. So, in the meantime, I want to give you guys just a little bit of information. You might have heard about a meteor shower or two that is going on and could potentially be peaking in the next few days. Make sure you get outside and you take a look in that night sky. Hopefully you will. Hopefully New Jersey will give us some clear skies so we can do some observing. Sometimes Mother Nature says, you know what guys, even though it is Saturday, I only have clouds to offer you. We prefer clear sky, but that's quite all right. We still have a great talk for you tonight, which is roughly starting in about 5 minutes. So Lonny's going to be up here on site, letting us all know what is up in the August sky. He's also going to let you know how to see Saturn, how to see Jupiter, where's the Big Dipper, Arcturus, and a whole bunch of other fantastic things that you guys can see in the night sky with your naked eye. So, until then, I'm going to continue to do my best to just walk you guys back around our property and remind you of all the amazing telescopes and volunteers we have up here. That's a quick glance at Gadget, our observatory chairman, Chris Cowie himself, heading over there to handle something with one of the telescopes, doing what he does best. Our current president, Paul Fisher, over there. He's assisting with parking this evening. So as you guys know, while you're up here at beautiful Jenny Jump State Forest, we do require reservations at UACNJ. Guys, it's really easy to make that reservation. All you have to do is jump online, uacnj.org, make that reservation. Make sure you bring your own chair to sit on while you're up here for our program tonight. And as we mentioned earlier, face coverings are still optional. If you would like to wear one, we support your decision. If you're fully vaccinated and you're comfortable and you feel you don't want to wear one, we also support that decision as well. I really hope that sky clears up for us, but I'm not too sure. We just took a look at the forecast. So hopefully the skies will clear up. All right, it looks like we have a few minutes left until the program is going to start. I'm going to start to walk back over here. I am going to slide my mask back up. And we're going to come down and take a look and see what's going on.
So, Matt can't see chat, but we have had people online saying, hey, if they didn't live in Texas, they would definitely come here and make a reservation.
Hey, my friends out in Texas, listen. We would love for you to come and make that reservation, but here's the thing. All our public programs are available online.
Oh, he's been coming every
And it's
week.
on me, so no charge. If you want to come, check out our programs on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. They are all free public programs. Here to give you as much information as possible. And I see the man himself pulling up right now. So what I'm going to do is see how far I can walk with this here as King Lonny shows up with 3 minutes to spare.
A couple of people are bringing in. Thank you, Matt, for helping us out and doing an intro. We decided to try something slightly different. We do broadcast this online, like he mentioned, to our YouTube channel. And before we had about 10 minutes of dead air. So we decided to, invest in some equipment and get you a moving intro where we can walk you around, show you the place a little bit, and maybe interview some various people like the speaker. So while Lonnie's setting up here, I'm going to stall for a little bit of time for him. Like I said, welcome to United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. Please do check us out on our website, UACNJ.org. That has our entire list of all our talks for the year. We do on doo-doo. I'm very tired, so occasionally I get off track right now. But getting back on track, we do have a list of talks for our year on our website. From April through October, every Saturday we do have our in-person public talks on site. And since the beginning of COVID, we have also started a winter program where we go to a solely online because no one wants to be sitting outside in the cold and the snow when it's raining or whatnot. So, but on the off chance, since we're still under pandemic and the plague is not something we all want to catch, we are still doing our presentations outside. So as long as the weather permits, we do have the presentations online, in person. But even if we get rained out, we will still broadcast this live. So we do have a couple social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We just added Discord, which is another chat platform where you can get together and discuss things like equipment. You'll get alerts for when we go live on our streaming things. Yep, he's still working on getting set up, and see a couple people wandering in. For those of you who are here in person, if you do need to use the bathroom, we have the porta potty to my right, your left. We do have a small gift shop to my left and your right. All the proceeds, all your donations go to keeping our lights on and offering free public programs like this, or going out to things like, in the past, we've had libraries invite us to do talks and solar observing or various programs, as well as a couple of schools. So since we are a nonprofit, we thank everyone who has donated so far. I've started my wall of stars over here, so anyone who donates above a $20 donation, you do get your name on a star honor thing, as well as we do have a Patreon now. Since it is the start of the month, I don't feel so bad about plugging that in. Patreon is a monthly like a subscription where you can donate like $1 every month or $5 or even more. I don't know about anyone else, but I know sometimes expendable income is hard to find. Bills, y'all. But anyhow, are you almost ready to go, Lonny?
I need a pass.
Hey, Jeff, can you please turn the projector? Yes. I have to yell to the man behind the curtain because I realize I forgot something today. So with that, let's get started on the intro here. Lonny Buinis has been obsessed with all things outer space since childhood. When he looked through his first telescope, he saw a pterodactyl pass over the moon. In the age of mammals, he helped to start the United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey, and in 2016, during the Ice Age, UACNJ dedicated the Lonny Buinis Observatory. Lonny holds degrees from Stevens Institute of Technology in physics and computer science. He is a member of the International Association of Astronomical Artists and created the first interactive space history book. He is as skeptical of experts as you, so after the talk, ask questions. And if we don't know, we might make something up, but that's why we have fact-check things such as Google, as long as we're using the right sources. So now let's explore what's up in the August sky.
Thank you, Kim. Oh, and testing 3.141592653589793. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for waiting. I look forward to doing these talks as I have every first Saturday of the month for the past 26 years. And I hope to do them for a lot more. So we hope to see all of you returning in the future for more What's Up in the Sky talks. And we also do other talks on other topics on the other Saturdays, like black holes, gravity waves, what's happening with the planets, all sorts of things. Tonight, it's what's up in the, you guessed it, the current month, August sky. And I'm going to be doing, you guessed it, next month, what's up in the, very good, audience participation is not punished. So, what's up this month is a couple of bright planets. And I'm going to challenge you to find an object that can be seen with the naked eye that's a birthplace of stars. Right now, though, if you look up, you'll notice that we're not going to see any of what I'm going to talk about. So tonight's talk is what you would have seen in the August sky. But I encourage you to go out on a clear night. What we're going to see, what I'm talking about, you're going to be able to see all month long if you go out about 9 or 9:30 at night. So let's begin with a few reminders that we're going to be putting up at the end of my talk, just so that a basic warning about what we normally do when it gets dark, which is number one rule: don't kill the tripod of the astronomers who set up their telescopes. Because why? Audience, anyone? Anyone? It moves. What else? More important?
We cry.
Yeah,
It
makes
took
the
a while to
astronomers
set up.
cry. So you don't want to see an astronomer crying. It's a very sad sight. Oh, we do have a gift shop. Whoops. And a porta potty. And I'll bring up these reminders at the end. One thing you want to see this month is something called the Seeliger effect. And this is something you can see if you look opposite where the sun is shining at your own shadow, on a beach, sand, or in the atmosphere when it's hazy, right? It's reflected light coming back from sand grains or air molecules or haze, reflected right back to your eyes. Well, it's also called an opposition surge because both the bright planets Jupiter and Saturn are both at opposition this month. Wonderful alignment of the Sun, then the Earth, then the outer planets Jupiter and Saturn. You can see the Seeliger effect here on a photograph made during Apollo 11 when human beings walked on the moon. Yes, that's correct. It wasn't faked. It really happened. I remember because I was a kid, I saw it, and you can't fool me. The government as bad as they are now at faking things, they were worse back then. The Seeliger effect takes effect with Saturn now, because every so often, as we orbit the sun, we catch up with Saturn, which is moving slower. We catch up with the planet Saturn, which is tipped at an angle as it rotates on its axis. It's tipped like we are. We're tipped 24 degrees, Saturn 29 degrees to the plane of the orbit around the sun, which means we have a chance, as we move around the sun, to see Saturn's rings open and closed. It's a 29-year cycle. Right now, they're brightly open, reflecting back extra light from those billions of tiny ice particles, some of them as big as boulders, some even larger, the size of small moons. But most of them little dust grains or ice grains, and reflects back a lot of light. And I would have said you would see that tonight if it weren't cloudy. So do come back to Jenny Jump Observatories, plural, 6 over there, 1 in the back, and ask the astronomers to show you the planet Saturn, the Seeliger effect. If you want to learn about the sky the way I did, I learned from a star chart. You can go online nowadays. The internet, believe it or not, didn't exist in the time of the dinosaurs when I was born. Go to seesky.org for everything there is to learn about the sea and the sky. Makes sense. seesky.org, organization. Click on Explore the Sky. Click on the astronomical calendar, and you can go to any year, past, present, future. Click 2021, and you'll see a series of events for the entire year. I extracted the ones for August. I'm going to point out 2 events for the moon this month: new moon, full moon. New moon, what's a new moon? When the moon is in the daytime sky close to the sun. Is it really close to the sun? But we have a few people in the audience who are very bold. Thank you for your answer. There's no penalty. In fact, if I see you writing down notes furiously on your iPads, your phones, your phablets, you know what a phablet is? Your pen and paper, I know most of you don't know what that is, then there's no penalty. You can take notes.
Most of us are old enough to know what that is.
I would think, yeah. Pencils. Next time I'll bring a pencil to demonstrate. So the new moon, you're not going to see the new moon. It's too close to the sun. The light source is behind the moon. We're looking at the dark face of the moon, or the familiar face of the moon darkened. It's the best time to see what? Everything. Faint objects, nebulae, star clusters, planets and bright stars, not so much. You can see that even when the sky, as we say in the scientific terminology, is crummy. Repeat after me, crummy. Very good. All right, a lot of shy people. We also have a full moon and a blue moon. Once in a while, there are, instead of 3 full moons in one season of the year, spring, summer, autumn, winter, you get an extra 4th. Because the moon's orbit doesn't fit neatly into a season. It's not 31 days, it's not 30 days. By the sun, if you measure the way the moon changes in its phases, it's about 29.5 days. To make matters even more confusing, if you measure by standing on the moon and looking at a star, every time you come back to the star, it's 27.3 days. So there's different kinds of moons or months. The one that we use, the calendar moon, is artificial. It's just 365.25 days divided by 12. But we have a blue moon. Now, once in a blue moon, the moon does turn blue, the color blue, when there's volcanic ash in the air, when there's a great volcanic eruption. Let's hope that doesn't happen to the supervolcano out in the west of the United States. If that blows, it's the size of several volcanoes, then we will have probably darkness for a long time, much like a nuclear winter. Look that up. I see a lot of you furiously checking your phones. I don't know. You're tired, right? You're tired. It's a very great effort to lift your phone out of the...
Not everyone.
That's all right. That's okay. Your audience participation is not punished. It's encouraged, but there's no penalty if you don't participate. Oh, I see a brave woman with her phone out. Excellent. Thank you. Also known as the green corn or grain moon, the early Native Americans called it the sturgeon moon. Sturgeon, kind of fish, right? When the fish were available to be caught, best time, easily caught in the lakes, the sturgeon moon. We've got planets, 2 moons. Let's go back a second. August 8th, August 22. I see everybody's memorizing these numbers furiously. Just checking. We have a couple of giant planets. Both happen to be lined up almost in a straight line. Sun, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn. Earth, now if we take the measurement from the Sun to Earth as 1, that's called by astronomers an astronomical unit, or A period, U period. AU for short. Jupiter is about 5, Saturn about 10. So these planets are much more distant than the inner rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and it's a very shy audience, very shy. Maybe the people out in yonder online land know the answer to this question. Mars, the 4 inners. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. If you include Pluto, which we don't anymore, it's very sad. Pluto got demoted. So on August 2nd and August 19th, these planets are lined up, fully illuminated, which means that there's no shadowing, no terminator. It's a blank, bright disk. We'll see clouds on Jupiter and Saturn because these are giant gas planets, or gas giants. See where the names come from? Science. It's very complicated. Big planets made of gas, what do we call them? Gas giants. So you're getting the hang of the science, right? Great. So you want to see, this is a very nice photo by Christopher Goh, amateur astronomer, who takes tremendous, really terrific pictures, like the kinds that many of our amateur astronomers do also. They're going to be able to show you on a clear night what a planet like Jupiter looks like on the side of the observatory, because they can now project the image so we can see it all at once instead of waiting in line one at a time to look through the eyepiece. There's still a great joy to do that, though, because when you're doing that, you're looking into the past. You're looking at light. Let's pick Jupiter, for instance. 5 astronomical units away. The Earth is 1. What's 5 minus 1? 4. Excellent. You guys have, I see you're losing your shyness. I used to be a very shy person. The poet Andrei Codrescu says that people are like an onion. They grow, they put on layers, but at the center core, it's the same. If you're a shy person growing up, that shy person is still there inside you. So I was very shy, but I learned to be less shy. Where was I going with this? I have no idea. Oh yes, 4 astronomical units times 8 1/3 minutes per unit, round out to 8. 4 times 8 is half an hour. When you look at Jupiter in a telescope, you're seeing light from a half hour in the past. When you look at anything in the sky, you're looking back in time. The further away an object is, the further back in time. Many of the bright stars, dozens of light years away, dozens of years in the past. The belt of Orion, 1,500 years away by light, 1,500 years in the past. Does it make much of a difference in the life of a star? Not really. The most distant object that we can see in the universe, look it up, Guinness Book of World Records, the Andromeda Galaxy is visible coming up in the east. I'll be talking about it in What's Up next month. What's Up in the what? Thank you. Bold person right there. September sky, when it's much higher, look for the most distant thing, 2.5 million light years away. We see it in the past, but Andromeda, like the Milky Way that we live in, has lived for 10 billion years. 10 billion. So what's 2.5? Not much. We have the principal attraction of August. If you miss this, you may kick yourself. I give you permission. Every year, we pass through the trail of debris left behind by a comet. The peak time to do it this year, August 12th and 13th, that is midnight of the 12th into the 13th is the best time. This is one of the best meteor showers of the year. 60 per hour means a bright one every minute, but caveat, you have to be in a dark location to see that many. Where I live, there's a lot of city lights, trees, houses in the way, glare, right? So I might see a bright meteor, maybe a couple per hour, maybe a little more. But you want to keep trying. You want to do that. It's fun. This is the comet Swift-Tuttle that left behind debris, and the Earth passes through the orbit of that comet every year, same time. And it does it over a period of time so that between the mid-July and the end of August, you can still see some meteors. It's a bell curve like that, the peak being around second week of August. So even if you miss that night, if it's a little cloudy, try it before, try it after. We're only 5 days away from the peak currently because we got a late start with what's up in the August sky since the first Saturday is later in the month. But give it a try. You're going to need some very sophisticated equipment, unfortunately, to see this. The crescent moon's going to collaborate with us, going to help. The equipment that you're going to need, two things. Don't know if you can get your hands on this. The first is naked eye. Repeat after me. Naked eye. People in the back are shy. What was it? Thank you. The naked eye. We've all got some. And very sophisticated piece of equipment. You want to lie down and look at the entire sky with your naked eye. So you need a lawn chair. Oh, and you also need this. Bug spray, very good. Not scientific, but essential. That's all you need to enjoy meteors. August 12th, coming from Perseus, which we'll point out in just a few moments, using a free program, Stellarium, that you can either download from the first address, stellarium.org, or view online from the second address. There are lots of good apps out there. This is a full-fledged application. I know many of the younger members of the audience don't know what an application is. Cut off everything after the second P, and you've got app. All right, so this you can install. It's free. The weird thing about it, look on the upper left, right there. You see anything odd? I've been using this program for 10 years, and it still hasn't gotten out of version 0. They're a little slow, but it is free, so I can't fault them too much. I started with 0.14. It's up to 0.21 now. If you'd like to fly through space to other planets and see what they look like up close, move around them, even look on the night side of the Earth and see the city lights, Celestia is great to do that. And if there's time at the end, while I'm answering questions, we can run Celestia. But tonight, I'm going to mostly use Stellarium. How does it compare to
Google Sky?
Google Sky? I have not used Google Sky, so I can't give you an accurate answer. I would say they're probably equivalent. There are other programs that do the same. There are especially apps for the smartphone, which will key in through GPS to what you're looking at, depending on where you place it, and identify things. So it's even more powerful than this. This is fun to run on a laptop, tablet, desktop. What's a desktop? Anybody still know what a desktop is? Very good. I am an old person. I'll be using odd terms like desktop occasionally or pencil. I can even I'll throw one at you you've never heard before, floppy disk. Well, why don't we see anything right now? Well, it's because it's still light out. Also because it's cloudy. But Stellarium doesn't know about clouds. What I'm going to do is advance the time a little bit. We're looking August 7th. Let's go to the middle of the month, the 15th. Notice how the sky got a little darker later in the month as the days get shorter, right? darker earlier. I'm going to look later on at night. Instead of 8:30, how do I know it's 8:30? 20 minus 12 is 8 o'clock. We're going military time here. How about I advance an hour to 9:30? Nice and dark, the way we see the sky at Jenny Jump. You might recognize 7 familiar stars. There are actually, for those of you who have sharp eyesight, you might see 8. If you were unlucky enough to be a Native American scout early on, hundreds of years ago, they would ask you, all right, Ken, how many stars do you see in this famous group? And if you said 7, you could sleep by the campfire. If you said 8, dummy, you got to take the first watch. There's actually an 8th star in the handle of the Big Dipper. Double star, Mizar and Alcor. So you might recognize the Big Dipper on a clear night, part of the Great Bear, Ursa Major, Bear, Large. Ursa Bear, Major, Large. Recognize it? How about now? All right, so now you can cheat in Stellarium. You can bring up pictures, you can draw lines, but if you want to challenge yourself, turn everything off. You can also identify things by name. But I won't do that. Let's have a little fun. Find our way around the northern part of the sky. I like to always start in the north at Jenny Jump at UACNJ. That's over the roof of the house you're facing. That way is north. That way is south, correct. Sun sets in the west, rises in the east. So there's your orientation. We're going to use those directions. If you look along the Big Dippers, let's blow things up a little bit. On star maps on a computer, the sky is compressed. Everything's very small. But in order to see some of the constellations in the night sky, you actually have to turn your head. For instance, to see the great horse, the flying horse Pegasus, you actually have to do that. You won't look that way on a star chart. Just a little warning. 5 times the distance apart of the 2 pointer stars, Merak and Dubhe, in the Big Dipper, you'll come to a famous star that helps us locate north. You also might occasionally see things moving, like a Starlink satellite. Have you heard about these? Jeff Bezos is sending up thousands of these things. They will partially interfere with astronomers. They'll make astronomers cry a little bit, but they are painting them black. So this is going to kind of keep the excess light from satellites down so it doesn't ruin the night sky. You might occasionally see an artificial satellite orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes. They move very fast, slower than an airplane, but more evenly. And they disappear when they enter the Earth's shadow, facing south. So what is this famous star? 5 times the distance apart, which is about the size of your fist, held at arm's length, about 5 degrees of angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll find famous star, Polaris, Pole Star, Polaris, North Star. Is there a South Star in the Southern Hemisphere? Anybody ever go to Australia, South America, Antarctica? Nobody? Do they have a South Star? Oh, well, no, we New Jerseyans are more polite. We don't make fun of our southerly neighbors. They have a cross that draws the correct direction to the South Pole. But we have a bright star. Big Dipper, Ursa Minor, Little Dipper. Down low, the W shape for the Queen, Cassiopeia. Do you see her? Use your imaginations. The house shape is her husband, Cepheus the king. I know it's a little bit difficult. Also, from overuse of internet devices and phones, some of us have become, let us say, we've lost a little of our imaginations. Our ancestors did not have television, radio, no internet. I know, very primitive times, but they did have imagination. Maybe that's why they drew what we're seeing here. Use your imaginations. Make up your own stuff. If you don't think that Kamala Pardalis looks like a giraffe, then I'll turn off the picture. Now what's it look like? Don't ask me. However, if you can find Camelopardalis, or as astronomers say, CAM, they have 3-letter abbreviations for everything. Ursa Major is Ume. Ursa Minor is Umi, U-M-I. So CAM is Camelopardalis, the camel with the long neck. Right near there, and the bright star of Perseus, the hero of legend, who rescued Andromeda the princess. Check it out, Clash of the Titans, the movie. Clash of the Titans, the remake. Right? The book. Read the book. It's been in the library. It's been there about 4,000 years now. Right there is where the Perseid meteors will be streaming from and covering the entire sky. We'll come back to them in a little bit. You've just learned 5 constellations: Big Bear, Little Bear, the King and Queen. Oh, and I left out longest constellation currently in the sky. There is Gamma Draconis. There is Eta Draconis. There is Alpha Draconis, formerly our pole star Thuban. When the Egyptians built the pyramids, that was where the Earth's North Pole pointed. Right now it points at Polaris. In the future, in some 10,000 years, it will point at Vega, the summer star. So what's happening to the Earth? It's wobbling. The pole is shifting. You feel it? No, it's too slow. It's slower than a day, slower than a year. In fact, there's a clock in Switzerland, if you ever go to visit, that has a gear that does precession, the Earth's wobble, 24,772 years. Very slow. But it's enough to upset the difference between a sidereal year and a solar year, just by a little bit. It throws things off. So there's 5 northerly constellations. The Big Dipper is not a constellation. Not a constellation, it's part of one. However, I like to look more to the south, where all the exciting stuff, as I call it by the scientific term, exciting stuff is, because here in this part of the sky, you can find the place where the sun, moon, and planets tend to follow. And it is a thing called the ecliptic. The ecliptic. If you were to take the orbit of the Earth and draw it out into space, you would see a red line like this. If you happen to go out any of the following nights that I've talked about when I'm done tonight and look at the sky and you see a red line like this, go indoors and take an aspirin, because it's not there. The sun, the moon, the planets all follow the ecliptic. And the constellations that mark it have been famous for thousands of years as the signs of the zodiac. For instance, the sun sign for a person born December 26th, as I was, is Capricornus the sea goat. See it? To me, it looks like a bikini top, but it's supposed to be a half fish, half goat. Right? Looks just like it. Take the picture away. Just like a goat. Oh boy. Well, it turns out the sun is not there in December. It's over here, a whole constellation off. Astrology is off by an entire sign, ancient astrology. I understand that modern astrologists have now taken into account the fact that the precession has shifted, the shifting of the Earth's axis has shifted the constellations. I don't know if they also take into account that there's an extra constellation that the planets and sun and moon go through, and that is the serpent carrier Ophiuchus. There he is, holding the head, serpens caput, and the tail, serpens cauda, of the sea serpent, or the serpent. So we now have 13 signs of the zodiac. Do not tell a traditional astronomer, you will make him or her cry. So there are signs of the zodiac. And why are these important? Well, if you want to find planets, that's where you look. If you look along this month, along that line, that imaginary line going through the signs of the zodiac, you'll see the bright planets Saturn and Jupiter. Great time to view them. In fact, now we're here, why don't we take a close-up look and see what Saturn looks like? Now look how far I have to zoom in to get the tiny, tiny angle that Saturn makes on the sky. That's why you need a telescope to see anything. You might see the bright moon Titan, the moon Titan of Saturn. Saturn's biggest moon, nearly the size of a planet, compares well with the moons of Jupiter or the planet Mercury. But if you want to see Saturn itself, you're going to need at least a small telescope to see the rings. Binoculars will not do it. And in larger telescopes, you might see the division in the bright A and B rings. You'll see cloudy bands. These are, you guessed it, clouds. Right? Very cool. Saturn, last count is something like 62 or 64 moons. I've lost count. There's so many. But there are a few big ones. Well, Titan the biggest. And some interesting ones. One of the moons is a place where you can see the rings open and close just as you do from Earth. As the moon goes around Saturn every 79 days, you get to see Saturn do this slowly. So it would be a great place, according to the author Arthur C. Clarke, to put a hotel. And you also weigh a few ounces because there's hardly any gravity on the moon Iapetus. So that's one of the things we'll look at in the telescope. Maybe not tonight, probably not. Come on back on another night. Another star of the evening sky. Planetides means moving stars. The Greeks called them planetides, or planet for short, wandering star, because they noticed that the stars moved among the other stars. Jupiter, you can't miss the bright moons. There are 4 of them. Galileo saw them in a crude telescope 400 years ago, about 410 years ago. Jupiter, biggest of the planets, so big you could put 11 Earths end to end right across the middle of Jupiter. You could put 1,300 Earths inside Jupiter. It's a giant planet. Beautiful features that change, including a giant storm that is shrinking, but not disappearing. And one of these moons is a very mysterious place, the smallest of the 4, but also the brightest. Does that make sense? The smallest and yet brighter than the other 4. Why? Europa, subject of a science fiction film, 2061, is covered with ice, which makes it bright. But it also hides an ocean hundreds of miles deep that's been there for billions of years, warmed by Jupiter's gravity, pulling on the moon, creating tides, warming the interior, which has organic matter in it, we know, because you can see the color of the orange bands on Europa. Is there life under the surface of Europa? Within our lifetimes, we will probably find out. As a probe lands on one of the cracks, drills down, and waits for microorganisms to percolate up. But there could even be advanced life inside Europa, like the kind of advanced life that we have living on the bottom of our oceans, where the oceanic plates pull apart, and from up there wells warm water, 800 degrees, that feeds a whole ecosystem, blind crabs and tube worms. Are there such things inside Europa? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. You may find out if life evolved independently inside the moon of a giant planet. Other things to see, if we look up higher in the sky, during the summer, you'll notice 3 bright stars. 3 bright stars. Whoops. Let me get a little bit higher. Named Vega, very high. Not too far from it, Deneb, meaning tail, and Altair. 3 different stars, 3 different constellations. These are the Lyre, harp, the beautiful swan, and the eagle, Aquila. Lyra, Cygnus, and Aquila. But if you don't see those creatures, even if you don't see the lions, look for a triangle of 3 stars in the summer. You'll never guess what we amateur astronomers call it. Go ahead, take a wild guess.
The summer circle.
Close, close. Summer triangle. Yes, very good. You win the right to go home whenever you want. No captive audience. Yep, summer triangle. It's enormous. Spans a large part of the sky. Much bigger than I can show on a computer. These stars lie at varying distances. Vega, about 25 light years away, was in the science fiction book Contact and the movie Contact, based on the book. Deneb was not in a story. That is 1,400 light years away, super bright star. And Altair, at 16.7 light years away, was in the movie Forbidden Planet, a science fiction classic. Go check it out. Right between them, we saw I left out the Archer. There's an arrow and an arrow shooter in the sky. Did you know? You see the arrow? Sagitta arrow. Looks just like an arrow. Yeah. Well, if you can find Sagitta in the midst of these three bright stars in the summer, you can look for something you might find in your closet that is an asterism like the Big Dipper, not an official constellation, not one of the 88 constellations. What would you find in your closet, upside down? These frequently fall. My wife gets very irritated because the hanger is always falling out onto the floor, and that's exactly what it looks like when it lands. Usually upside down, usually stuck under the door, so you can't pick it up. The heck with it. The coat hanger. See it? Coat hanger. Check it out. Ask an amateur astronomer to show it to you. You can see it in a pair of binoculars. So that's why I say that it's a great way to get started viewing the sky. If you don't want to buy a telescope, get a nice little pair of binoculars. There are other things to see in the sky besides star pictures and patterns. There are, for instance, clusters of stars that form a globe. Look high in the sky for the letter H, a famous hero of Greek legend. Anyone? What was that? Hercules is correct. See him? Hercules is drawn upside down. Poor Hercules. But if you look at the center stars, called the keystone, the irregular stone in the center of an arch. It's not a perfect square or rectangle. It's a rhombus, trapezoid, parallelogram. Okay, I'll let you look that up. I see all of you searching furiously on your phones. Excellent. I don't see anybody doing that. All right, I don't know. I can't give you high marks on looking on your phones. Look to the right side of the keystone. Look for a fuzzy blob. We amateur astronomers call it a fuzzy blob. No, actually, we don't call it that. We call it a cluster of stars in a globe. Guess what we call it? Globular. You cheated. You looked that up, didn't you? It's okay to admit it. You're right, globular cluster, one of the brightest in our skies. Easiest to see, M number 13 in Messier's catalog. There is another one, low in the south, very low, and it's right down here somewhere. You know, I did see it before, but I might not be close enough to see it. I do see a southern crown, Corona Australis. Can you find Corona Borealis? I think one of the labors of Hercules, the 7 labors, was to rescue a golden crown. Anybody see it? Corona Borealis. Beautiful stars. So when you see things like the globular cluster in Hercules, you're looking at something we amateur astronomers call a deep sky object, thousands of light years away, and yet still within our Milky Way. The Milky Way, the visible part, spans some 100,000 light years across. The invisible part, dark matter, hundreds of thousands of light years even beyond that. Encircling the whole thing, tens of thousands of globular clusters. Look for or ask someone to show you M13 when you come visit again. There are other things to see in the summer sky. If you look low for the teapot-shaped group of stars, which is called the teapot. Whoa, very good, catching on fast. That's correct, thank you. The teapot spout spouts the Milky Way across the entire summer sky from this location in Hope. It's because we're in the middle of a state forest. We are protected from overdevelopment by lights. And so this is a place, one of the few in the state, to see the entire Milky Way of summer. Like steam rising out of the spout of the teapot. Above the spout of the teapot, the location of the galaxy's center, with a black hole weighing millions of times the mass of our sun. Can you see it? Look carefully. You see it? Why can't you see a black hole? It's black. Very good. We have people paying attention. All right. But what you can see is a place where stars are being born. You want to see this nebula, gas cloud nebula, with a dark lagoon of dust running down the middle. You will be finding the lagoon nebula looking best in a telescope or long exposure photo, but visible as a faint cloud to this. What is it? The naked eye. Thank you very much. That man was paying attention. I'm sure the rest of you were. You all look very tired. So we're going to finish in just a few moments. Look for the Lagoon Nebula with the unaided eye. You're seeing a place where stars are being born. And how do we know that? Because we can watch it happen. Some amateur astronomers have been watching nebulae for so long, we can see changes in the nebula as stars are being born. Another famous one above it, very close, split into 3 parts by dust lanes. 3 parts, the Trifid Nebula. Glowing by the light of hydrogen gas, the most plentiful substance in the universe, red, characteristic red color, and reflected light from young stars, blue stars, red and blue, beautiful colors. We cannot, unfortunately, see that in a telescope. The human eye is not sensitive to those faint colors. Generally, everything looks pretty greenish in a telescope, but you might be surprised. And I'll show you one last deep sky object is high in the sky by the summer triangle. Look for the Lyre again, Vega, the bright star Vega, which will become our pole star thousands of years from now. Look amongst the 2 stars in the bottom of the parallelogram. I got that one right this time. Ha ha. And you'll have to have someone, one of our amateur astronomers, show you this very faint, small object, but one of the most beautiful. It's what happens when a star puffs off the outer layers of its atmosphere. When stars get older, sometimes they form a nebula, a gas cloud that expands away, that looks in a small telescope like a round planet. And so early observers called them planetary nebulae. Planetary nebula. Looks like a planet. It's actually a globe. But we're looking through the center part that's more transparent, and that's why we can see the star that made it, the white star in the middle. That's the Ring Nebula. Ring Nebula. You see why they call it that? So if you want to get oriented to the summer sky, good way to do it, if you have a low horizon, you begin down low in the south and look for the Teapot and the Scorpion. At the middle of this month and next, you can't miss it because the moon is right amongst those stars getting in the way. To the left of the Scorpion and its bright red heart star, Antares, the Teapot, which is an archer, half man, half horse, holding a bow and arrow. Wow, our ancestors really had good imaginations. You see it? All right, don't worry, I don't either. To the left, my sign, the goat, sea goat. Looking higher, the summer triangle, Vega Deneb and Altair, nice cross shape, for the swan. You might want to ask an amateur astronomer with a telescope to show you this star in close-up. It's one of my favorites. It is a double star. If I hit the space bar, Stellarium centers things, and it's actually a star colored greenish blue and gold. Now in Stellarium, the colors are not very vivid, but to the human eye, it's amazing. The color contrast is so intense that you can see it easily in the telescope, even a small one. This is Alberio, the head of the swan. It's my favorite double star. Ask someone to show it to you when you come back. And I hope you will. I hope you'll visit us again. If you look to the right towards the setting sun, you'll see Hercules and the crown. And finally end up with the bright orange star Arcturus, which you can also find using the Big Dipper's handle by arcing to Arcturus. So you see the technique that we've used tonight, hopping from one thing to another, is called star, you guessed it, star hopping. You guys are great. You really catch on to scientific terms like that. Well, thank you. So that is Stellarium. Lets you move around the sky, lets you change. You can actually change time. You can actually speed up time and watch it turn daylight. You can look at the sky for very late at night if you wish. Oops. And you can do that until the sun comes up. Will you see stars in the daytime? Can you see stars at... Actually, yes! Only one. The sun. Right. So you're correct. Other than the sun, you will not see the stars. All right. To conclude, we have some interesting events happening. Let's have a review. Looking north at 9 o'clock, you'll see the 5 circumpolar stars that never rise or set. Never rise, never set, just spin around the North Pole in a big circle, counterclockwise. Big Dipper, Little Dipper, Dragon, King and Queen, Cassiopeia, Cepheus. South, high, the Summer Triangle, Hercules, Corona, and Arcturus in the herdsman. Doesn't look like a herdsman to me. Looks like a rocket ship with an orange tail of flame. That's Boötes or Boötes, the herdsman. Down low, Ophiuchus the serpent carrier, 13th sign of the zodiac. Near him, Scorpius is the Scorpion. Yeah, don't be shy. Scorpion. Sagittarius the teapot or archer. Capricornus the sea goat. And the planets, first Saturn rising and then Jupiter. Are they in among the stars of the constellation? No. These planets are light minutes away. The stars are light years away. Big difference. A light year is about 6 trillion miles, 6 followed by 12 zeros. Right? That's a lot. It's a great distance. The nearest star to us, Alpha Centauri, can't be seen unless you're in Florida. That's 4 light years away. It takes a long time for light to travel from star to star. And therefore, it will take a long time for a conventional spaceship to travel from star to star unless they use warp drive, which is possible in theory. Now, watch what happens when I talk about what's up in the September sky. Look at the sky at one time every night, the same time, and you'll see a difference. 9 p.m. facing south, middle of August, look at the moon, look at the Scorpion, and now a month later, what happened? Do it again. For 1 month. Everything shifts by 30 degrees. 12 into 360 is 30. 12 zodiac signs, 12 months of the year, 12 into 360 degrees, the sky shifts, bringing up new objects in there, the east. And that's why I'll be talking about the Andromeda Galaxy and Andromeda and the new stars of the September sky in, you guessed it, what's up in the September sky. That's right. Please come on back. I'm going to challenge you over any clear night this summer. If you have a clear view to the south, maybe you go to the shore, look for a fuzzy blob above the teapot spout, about a little bit longer than the length of the spout, and that is M8, the Lagoon Nebula, star birthplace. Very exciting. A little bit of history before we go. This month, in the year 1560, Tycho Brahe, famous astronomer who did not have telescopes, this is before that, before telescopes were invented, he got inspired to view the sky because somebody predicted an eclipse and it was off by a day. And he thought, if I can measure the positions of things more accurately, I can do better. And that got him interested in astronomy, and he became one of the most famous astronomers ever after having his nose cut off in a duel with another astronomer. Very proud man. He also died the way he lived, with gusto. He refused to get up at a party, and so he fell face forward into his food and died. Great way to go. This month, in 1972, the Copernicus spacecraft was launched, an orbiting observatory. And then a few years later, the High Energy Observatory, this month, launched August 12th. So a quick review, go at csky.org. You can't possibly read all these things, but you might want to remember the one thing. If you forget everything else, you can even forget my name, Lonny. You can forget my email that I'm going to show you at the end. Please go out any clear night around the 12th. It can be before. It can be after. It doesn't have to be at midnight. It can be at 9 o'clock at night. It can be 3 in the morning. Look for the meteors coming from Perseus. So they're called the Perseids. Don't miss the Perseid meteors. So, quick references. UACNJ. Repeat after me. UACNJ. I hear a lot of shy people. UACNJ. UACNJ, that's UACNJ.org. It's got all kinds of references. We are an umbrella organization for many astronomical organizations in New Jersey and out in other states. Magazines, they still make them. Yes, print still exists. Yes, ink still exists, but you can get them online. Sky and Telescope, Astronomy, they have beautiful centerfolds with the stars. You can learn the sky the way I did from star charts. Programs, apps, there's dozens. Last time I checked, I found more than 2 or 3 dozen. For Android, for Apple, you've got it. And it shows you everything you want to know about the sky. The ones that I like, Stellarium and Celestia, check them out. Finally, I am a space artist and animator. I make virtual reality planets, which you can see in my book, or free on my website, Astronomy in Motion. Astronomy in Motion. The book is available everywhere. That's the end of my shameless plugs for the evening. And so I invite you to ask some questions. Don't leave just yet. Unfortunately, the sky will not cooperate with us, but we would love to have you back any Saturday night. We're open free to the public with all kinds of programs besides What's Up in the Sky. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lonny, for another great presentation. So, this is the part of the night where we do a question and answer session. Since we do have an online audience, what I'm going to be doing is taking a question from the online audience and then taking a question from our live in-person audience. Just a couple things while I have my online audience getting in maybe some last-minute questions. Review from the start. If you need to use the bathroom, we have the porta potty to my right, your left. We do have a gift shop, and all the proceeds from that go to keeping our lights on and helping us offer the free public programs and keep continually improving, keeping up with upkeep, and improve the stream. So, like you said, do check us out on our website. It does have a list of all our talks available, as well as all of our member clubs. I do suggest, if you're not if you are interested in astronomy and you have not, go look up your local astronomy club. It's a great way to get started, and especially when you look up your local astronomy club, a lot of times they can give you tips and tricks for things you might be able to see better in your local area. So, where'd the last slide go?
Here we go.
There we go. So, as we leave tonight, do use your headlights. We do not like running people over. We do not like getting run over. Pretty self-explanatory. Would not suggest getting run over. Been there, done that. Didn't enjoy it. So, that being said, even though we are using our headlights, if you are using a flashlight or whatnot, keep it pointed towards the ground. No one likes getting lights intentionally in their eyes if we can avoid it. So, with that, our first question is every visible star logged by a coordinate system?
That's a good question. Yes, for every star in our sky, we have a coordinate system, much like or analogous to latitude and longitude on the Earth. Instead of latitude up and down, we call that declination. And then to go the other way, either in space left right or in time by hours right ascension. In the book Science Made Stupid, the very clever author calls it right ascension and wrong ascension. So that's a great funny book, check it out. But yeah, the answer to the question is right. Astronomers use a coordinate system that changes with time, so they actually have to pick a date, like 2000 as a standard reference, or the coordinate system of date. You see that on star charts or programs like Stellarium. Of date means the current date, 2021.
Right. Is there a question from our live audience? And I just ask that you raise your hand and kind of wave it about, because I have a hard time seeing in the dark. Anyone? I know the crickets and cicadas have come out finally.
So you all know the answers to all the questions. Excellent.
All right. Our next question is, if you could pick any place to go stargazing or whatnot, or look up at the sky, where would you go?
Wow, that's a very good question. If I could pick any place. So any place on Earth or any place anywhere? I think
They didn't really specify. They just said any place. So I'm assuming.
Let's start with the Earth. You know, my favorite place is United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey, but I also might want to pick a desert like Arizona, where the skies are extremely clear, or I wouldn't pick a frigid place like Antarctica. Excellent seeing, kind of uncomfortable. The best place to observe is where the air is thin and steady, the top of a mountain. So maybe Hawaii, Mauna Kea. Yeah, the top of a mountain in Hawaii. Wouldn't that be nice? Because if you get bored stargazing, you could go surfing.
You're going for the warmer climates. I think I personally would go for the colder climates. Maybe go on a trip with my boyfriend Chris and go
Aruba?
see like. No, cold. Let's go see the Aurora Borealis.
Canada.
I know there's a couple like places where they do those like ice hotels where then you go out and get to see the aurora.
Right.
That would be fun. So, any questions here?
Anything at all?
If not, I'm going to continue on to the next online question, which is... Oh, I scrolled a little too far. Going back to the blue moon, when the moon is colored blue, that can relate to a supervolcano? Like, they're not sure.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I may have confused people. Long ago in the 19th century, late 1900s, a volcano called Krakatoa, that's out in the southeast, near the Pacific, the island chains. Krakatoa exploded so violently that it sent an ash cloud into the atmosphere that blotted the sky everywhere, almost everywhere on the Earth, and the ash turned the moon's color bluish instead of red or reddish, like when you see the moon rising. So they called it a blue moon. But that's much more rare than a so-called blue moon that you see once in a while the fourth moon in a season, or 2 moons in a month, 2 full moons in a month. So blue moon really applies to several different terminologies. Now, there is a supervolcano in the western part of the United States near Yellowstone that geologists have been watching because it has the potential to create a similar kind of explosion. How much ash would it put in the air? We're not really sure. But I wouldn't worry about it. Wouldn't worry about it.
Let's not worry let's not add thing to the time of the plague bingo card. Who had super caldera blowing up? Anyhow, moving on. Questions? Oh, hold on. Let me take the microphone so that our online audience can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
I heard recently that we're seeing a lot of the orange in, I guess, reflected in the moon because of what's going on, the fires on the West Coast. So
right. The questions about those fires, a lot of you have heard about the fires on the West Coast. That does a similar thing. It puts a lot of ash and fine particles in the air, and that will absorb the shorter wavelengths of light, leaving the long red rays. So it turns sunsets and sunrises more spectacularly red than usual. That's the usual kind of absorption. And we do see that to a lesser extent. When there's not forest fires and smoke, the sun rising does look a little reddish. And that's caused by absorption through the Earth's atmosphere. You're looking through, when you look at the horizon, you're looking through up to hundreds of miles of atmosphere. When you look straight up, the thickest part of our atmosphere, the troposphere, is only 5 miles thick. So there's a big difference. The moon low can look reddish, the moon high, whitish. Good question.
Yeah, I know a couple weeks back when I was coming home from this, the moon kind of looked like a pepperoni.
Wow.
And then I really wanted pizza. And unfortunately, after the presentation, all the pizza places are definitely closed for the night. So that was a problem. All right. So our next question is, in the regular night sky, so I'm assuming like a normal clear night, without the use of super telescopes, how far can we see clearly? Like, is there a limit to the distance we can see, or is that dependent on other factors? I'm assuming brightness of stars and whatnot definitely figures into that.
Right. The limiting factor, how far out into space we can see, which is the same as saying how far back in time, is dependent on the object that you look at. So you can look at a planet like Saturn. 10 minus 1 is, this test for the audience, 9 astronomical units, 9 times 8, an hour and a quarter back into the past to see Saturn. You look at something like the great globular cluster in Hercules, that's about 30,000 light years away, 30,000 years in the past. Look at the Andromeda Galaxy. I'll point it out next month. What's up in the September sky? 2.5 million years in the past. So your eyes can see the furthest thing back, 2.5 million years. It depends on which object you look at, how far away it is.
All right. Any questions here?
I've got one for the audience when we're done.
Ooh, why don't you ask it now? Because now I'm curious.
Yeah. Now, if you forget everything else that all of us here at UACNJ have taken the trouble to tell you about, to get you excited about, what's the one date you're going to remember and the one event for only August, because it happens every year? It's the
August 12th.
August 12th and Perseid meteor shower. Everybody, Perseids! Yay! Thank you.
All right. It looks like I have one last question from our online audience. Can we actually see the center of our own galaxy?
Can we see the center of our own galaxy? Astronomers have used very powerful radio telescope arrays, that's more than one, a set of them, to simulate the aperture of a single giant instrument miles across and even the entire size of the entire Earth. It's called interferometry. And with that resolution, we can actually see features in the middle, the center of our galaxy. We have seen stars being swallowed by the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Can we see the black hole itself?
No,
No,
it swallows
but-
everything it touches.
But we can see black holes in other galaxies. We took a picture for the first time a couple of years back. They're aiming to do ones that are closer to us now to get more detail. We can actually see the gas going into a black hole. The black hole itself is and always will be invisible. So yes, we can see the effects of the black hole at the center of our galaxy. We can't see the black hole. Good questions.
All right. Last chance for any questions here. Bueller? Nothing.
Well, we'll be sticking around if you'd like to ask us questions.
All right. So I want to just thank you guys here who have come to our program tonight. Do be safe. I believe we might have a couple of observatories not completely open because we currently have the worst seeing, but the cicadas finally came out. But I believe my boyfriend Chris might have a one of the observatories open, like I said, with a laptop from images from previous nights, showing things we might be able to see.
2 open, 2 slideshows.
I just got informed by Matt, who you saw at the beginning, that there are in fact 2 observatories open where you can go and look at the telescopes with 2 slideshows open. With COVID and everything, had we been able to do viewing the night sky, instead of looking through the eyepiece, because the constant sanitation would absolutely kill the optics, we have been attaching cameras to our telescopes and projecting that onto a screen for a slideshow. But since we don't have the ability to see live things tonight, we do look at the past one. Like I said, do come back, and until next time, have a good night.